Now we're recording.
Here's Gretchen. That's Gretchen.
I'm here.
All
Hi,
right.
Gretchen.
Hello.
Steve was attempting to connect, but was unable to do so. The winds are down to 76 miles an hour, so hopefully he'll be able to do. Hopefully be able to
No
show.
excuse.
Yeah, I know.
It's so still.
It's balmy up there. Well, we're not going to waste any time then. If folks show up, they show up. Let's bring this meeting to order. It's the February 7th, 2023 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform, and this meeting's being recorded. First item on the agenda are the January 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes or comments or anything?
Move we accept them as written.
Second,
Roll call. We have David Vine,
yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. On to Plum Island updates. What do we have for updates, Julie?
Okay, there was a MRBA meeting last Friday at PETA Hall, and the main topic, I would say, of that meeting, David was there also. Main topic of that meeting was the dredge and issues related to the dredge and to the jetty and potential future jetty modifications, etc. Let's see, David, I'm trying to remember what we talked about. The Oyster Bay major dredge that's supposed to have been dredging the entrance channel, the 15-foot entrance channel, which has not been taking place since, around Thanksgiving, I guess, is that when they stopped. That is still not reactivated. They got going for like half a day and they realized there was something broken. They needed a new part. And I believe Coral from the Army Corps at the meeting said that they had the fix and it was ready to go again, David, but
Yeah.
I haven't noticed them starting. Have you?
No, but I haven't even looked out there, so I don't know. I guess one of the big things that people were expressing concern about, besides the fact that they're holding up, is there became some question about whether they'd have enough sand to complete all the profiles that they've provided for the nourishment. And one of the things they said was that if they run out of sand, they would maintain the cross section, but just stop it short of, I guess the direction is to the north or to the west. And that got all kinds of concerns and so forth. And I don't know. It seemed to me Coral has a lot to check into, is the way this thing was left.
Yeah, agreed. And it sounded like there was an expectation that, the originally sort of estimated amount of sand will still come out of the river or should still come out of the river, and that Army Corps should make sure that happens so that the placement on the beach can take place as originally designed. But at some point, I don't know that they have that much control over what gets dredged. As long as they dredge down to the elevations that they were supposed to, if the estimated amount of sand doesn't match up with what they expected, there's not a lot Army Corps can do about it, right?
Yeah, from a physical standpoint, there's not a lot they can do about it. Also, right now, they're asking the contractor to do the overdredge, and that's kind of the play for the accuracy. The contractor, by the contract, doesn't have to do that. And what concerns me is if the contractor's having a hard time finishing, they might not want to do that. They might want to just get to the design depth, and that would be significantly less. So I don't know. You didn't get a warm feeling coming out of the meeting, or at least I didn't.
I agreed. I didn't either really. I got like, it was very ambiguous as to whether or not they would even finish on time. And the contractor is already asking Army Corps to look into getting them an extension on the time window of March 15th, which is for plovers and other endangered species stuff. Because they're not sure, given weather, uncertainties, whether or not they'll even be able to finish by then.
Was
which
there
is
any
not-
additional, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was it.
No, I was just going to ask if there was any additional damage from the high winds the other day. I haven't been out to Plum Island, to that part of the island.
You mean this weekend?
Yeah.
I don't know either.
I don't know either.
It was coming out of the northwest.
I don't know. I heard the seas were really high, but I
Is that
couldn't
right?
go out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. I might go out there tomorrow and take a look. Also, if any of you are interested in getting like a visual of what's going on out there, if you go to Newburyport.com, I don't know if you've been to that website, and you can click on, they have like these live cameras are scattered around the city, and a couple of them are out on, well, several of them are out on Plum Island, or at least looking out at the river. And
Oh.
and two of them are located specifically on Reservation Terrace, looking at where the dredge is taking place. I think they're actually positioned on Councilor Wright's house. Or near there, with permission from the Wrights. So it's really kind of cool. You can get like a real-time look at what's happening or not happening.
They also discussed the studies for the long-term solution, which sounded like even if the monies were coming in, it's like a 3 to 5 year process, which didn't make people too excited either, to get the kind of permitting that you would need.
What solution is that, David?
Well, it seems like they only wanted to look at the where.
Hmm.
They were very concerned about anything major that would change the that spur that they talked about, trying to stop the twirling situation out there.
Yeah, they certainly need the weir jetty out there. Of course, that would just be a matter of taking stones off as opposed to.
Well, the study, I believe the number was $240,000 just to study it. So it's not just a couple of stones they're looking at getting rid of.
Who would pay
And
for the
that's-
study?
I think they've already, the Army Corps or the federal government has already designated money for and provided money for Army Corps to do this study. But the study is just to determine whether or not they think that a weir in the jetty would be a solution, or that there's a problem that they could solve in that way, right? And then, David, they'd have to go and actually have like more money for design of the solution.
Yeah, I mean, they're not thinking of this as like, let's get rid of a couple stones. They're really going to study this one very hard.
Yeah, but in the end, I don't think they're gonna replace the whole jetty. If they do decide to do it, they're gonna figure out where to pull stones from, and then probably rebuild parts that have fallen over too. And then we'll get another blizzard of 78, it'll all get blown out, and it'll have to be done again.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen before these studies and everything. For
It
them
could.
to lose some stone.
Yeah. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Yeah.
Next thing is a CPC application support letter for the Colby Farm Meadow. We need to vote on a letter of support so it can get passed by, or what is a letter of support? Mostly for the city council? You're shut off, Julie.
Sorry. You're on the CPC committee now, right, Joe?
Yeah.
So I think the letter of support is actually to the CPC committee.
It's just for a CPC, okay.
And I mean, I'm sure then the city council would also take it into consideration too when they approve the CPC's recommendations. But it's so that the CPC can, it can go along with the application to the CPC. And do you want to just give a quick like summary? Do you know what's involved in the application? I can give a quick summary.
I think you should give the quick summary.
Okay.
'Cause,
So out at Colby Farm Lane, the meadow that the city now owns out there, that's on the corner of Low Street and the new Colby Farm Lane where that little housing development is. And there's like sort of a dilapidated white picket fence, white split rail fence, and it's all meadow out there. And there's actually a little trail head that runs out into the open space area from just past the development on Colby Farm Lane. So it's a new public open space that we have. That's the Conservation Commission is sort of in charge of overseeing it. It's got a management plan so that it can be maintained as meadow, pollinator meadow habitat over time. So it's a great new resource that we have, but it needs some improvements. So it needs the fence replaced. That dilapidated fence needs to come out and be replaced. We want to put some interpretive signage about the pollinator meadow at the trailhead. We want to do some improvements to the trail and look at even sort of an extension and expansion of the trail in and around the new open space. So those are the types of things that are included in this CPC application. And it's going in, I don't know the date of when it's to be voted on by the Community Preservation Committee, but they're asking for letters of support, and it is very appropriate for the Conservation Commission to be submitting a letter of support. for
At the
this.
same meadow where the students were working?
Yes, exactly.
And we seem to have gotten Steve Moore here.
Oh,
Okay,
great.
can you hear
Oh,
me?
yeah. Yeah, we can hear you and see you now.
Okay, good.
Going up
Alright.
there.
Oh, it's nice. It's 23 degrees, 60-mile-an-hour wind.
Lovely. Balmy.
Yeah,
Couple inches of snow tonight.
All right.
There's
Good.
snowing, it's supposed to snow here too. I don't know if it is, but
Yeah, there's supposed to be like snow and freezing rain and everything.
Lovely.
It's supposed to be ugly here.
Hmm.
So, hey, Dan, are you listening to us? You're,
muted.
oh, there you go.
Uh,
Okay.
Yep, I'm listening. Yep, I'm in my car. You
Okay.
probably can't see me if I put video on anyway.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure if I ask you if you want to vote on approving this CPC letter of support.
do we need a motion for that, Joe?
Yeah, we got to vote on it as a commission.
Okay, well, having not seen the letter, but believing that it's what Julia said, it makes sense. So,
It will be shared with all.
We
Oh,
haven't actually drafted the letter yet,
Oh.
but we will, and we'll share it around. You guys can edit and et cetera.
Yeah,
so do you still need a vote even though we don't have a letter?
Well, we've done such things in the past, but it's simply support. We support. Do you support what Julie just discussed?
Okay, I'll make a motion to support the letter that will be at some point about the Colby Farm Meadow.
Second,
Okay, roll call. Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes,
and I vote yes.
Okay, I will draft something that's very basic and attach the CPC application, which I think is also available on the city's website. And let you all take a look and make sure that it looks okay.
Okay. I see Scott Cameron has his hand up. I will
Okay.
let you speak. Go ahead, Scott.
thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm actually just acknowledging I will be on for the next agenda item. I might have jumped the gun there.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. So we're on to the next agenda item, which is 3 Boston Way LLC, request for minor modification.
Yes, sir.
wait, Scott, I'm gonna just promote you to a panelist, so you'll be sort of over and can see everybody. All right, now you can unmute yourself. Is that better? Scott, I have the notice of intent, and I can show the sort of previous drainage design and then what you submitted for the minor modification, but you want to just start with like an overview, what we're talking about?
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having us tonight. For the record, my name is Scott Cameron with the Moore and Cameron Group, 25 Canosa Ave in Haverhill, Mass. Eric Brown is also on, and he has some, he may need a share screen at some point, but
Yep.
I'm here on behalf of 3 Boston Way LLC, Minco Corporation, and this is basically the background of it. The project is nearing the finish line. They've been going at it aggressively for some time. They are currently targeting mid-May first floor occupancy. So they're kind of in the landing pattern, and as part of kind of the final project kind of punch list work, we have a pile of excess soil. It's actually currently sitting at 166 across the street, which would be the next phase. But that soil is what was basically the excavations from the trenches, material around the building foundation. We had anticipated putting that back in, but during the course of excavation, it just wasn't a suitable soil to put around foundations, utilities. So we ended up with this excess. It's all material from the site. And what we would like to do is put that soil in an area between the parking area and the wetland, and more or less grade it as more of a, if you will, just kind of give it some texture rather than, you can see right now on that figure, the slope just drops off the pavement. It is very flat around the wetland. This area is all grass and mowed. It has been historically, and frankly, it's all fill in that area anyway. So it's fill from the site going on top of fill, and some natural soil too, some of the clay and whatnot going on top of fill. We're looking to minimize transport of soil off the property, carbon footprint, fuel consumption, etc. Keeping it on site, always better. And there's really no change from a stormwater perspective. From a impervious perspective, pervious, we're actually, that's a good image of the contours, Julia. So it goes from just a drop off the edge of the pavement to kind of a, there's some texture there. It's gonna function, I think, more as more of a backstop between the wetland and the parking area. It's gonna be seeded with a wildflower mix, so you get pollinator as we had originally proposed it. And that's the request. There's no change really in the limit of work. There's a little bit more as we get up towards the rail trail, the rail, the rail platform, which is just the top of the plan there. But yeah, it's an area that's already disturbed. It's already almost all entirely within the limit of work, and it's all previously disturbed filled land. We felt this wasn't warranting of, there's really no changes to any of the critical project parameters, and actually serves, I think, to provide a little better product at the end of the day. So that's it. That's the nature. We're requesting minor modifications so we can proceed forward and get the work finished up on the site.
Is there any reason to test the soil to make sure that there aren't any?
Yeah,
harmful
it's all,
compounds?
again, it's all been through that process long ago, earlier on in the project. There's no issues with it. Again, it's all soil from the site. It's all material that has been there for the better part of the last 30 plus years, or natural soil.
Okay.
So it was previously characterized and that there's no contaminants in it. So.
Correct. Yep. And it's a residential use, multifamily. There's no higher standard here. So.
Is any issues with maintaining this area that you're kind of creating?
I don't think so. Again, I think it makes it a little easier to maintain because you can get at it directly off the parking lot rather than having to kind of get down the slope. The grades are a little flatter than the current design, so it's a 3-to-1 versus a 2-to-1. And the maintenance is a once annual mowing anyways. It's intended to grow and be kind of a wild, a transitional zone.
Okay.
Anybody else got any questions? Or concerns?
Nope.
Okay. In that case, can I get a motion to approve the minor modification?
So
I
moved.
make a motion
Oh.
to approve the minor modification.
Second,
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Dan Warshaw,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Great. Thanks,
Right.
everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is Kimberly Goulet, 5 Helena Street, request for certificate of compliance.
Okay. So I can- Every time I try to click on the, oh, okay. Let's see, we've got Kim Goulet is here. Kim, I'm going to promote you to a panelist so you can unmute yourself also and answer any questions about the project. So here's the request for certificate of compliance. This project was permitted back in
21.
21.
Yeah, so it was pretty recent. And so what this project involved, and here's the location, it's right at the very end of Helena Street, right on the basin and abutting the basin and the associated salt marsh right there. And the project involved construction of a new bedroom over an existing, or not a new bedroom, expansion of an existing bedroom area over an existing deck area. And let me just see, is this the notice of intent? No, that is just, I think I have her original notice of intent somewhere. Photos, minor modifications, or sorry, anyway, the project, this area right here was a build out over an existing deck. You can see the deck on the top sort of right corner of the dwelling. The deck extended all the way alongside the building, and there was this building, the living space addition over the existing deck. So there was no increase in footprint in the project. The only change was actually to the pilings to support the weight of the new living space over the deck. They took out 19 existing pilings and they replaced them with 13 new helical piles. So there's actually a reduction in impact, you could say, by taking out the existing piles and putting in these new helical ones to support the deck. And they're requesting a certificate of compliance. This is their letter. At one point during the construction of the project, they did request a minor modification, which was to formalize a 553 square foot driveway area, which was already an existing parking area alongside the house adjacent to Helena Street. There's no garage or anything. You sort of just pull over next to the house, and it was just all sort of sand and dirt and weeds, and there was never a formal parking area. So we allowed them to formalize that with crushed stone. That was this minor modification, and that has also been done. And here's a photo of the parking area alongside the house. And here you can see the salt marsh and the basin and the plant, they put in some plantings along here. And this area is, I'm sorry that the car is in the way when I took the photo, but the expanded living space is this area that you see right here, which is over an existing deck and everything was elevated. If I can find a better photo of the previously approved work. If you bear with me for just a second. Here we go. We go down to look at their project plan. You can sort of see, yeah, this is what they did. So this was the existing deck. Everything is already elevated above the salt marsh, and they expanded the living space out over it. So you can see now there's just a small area of deck at that top corner, and then they have this sort of bedroom space that comes out. It's all elevated above base flood elevation and the salt marsh, and there was no additional impacts to any of the vegetation or anything underneath there. So that's sort of what it looks like now.
Thanks, Julie.
Kim, did I get that right, Kim?
Got it, perfect.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
There was no plantings that was supposed to be monitoring or anything along those lines?
No, and it wasn't in the request. It just said to make sure that nothing was damaged, and nothing was.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay. Anybody else? Can I get a motion?
Motion to issue the certificate of compliance.
Second,
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Jan Warshall,
yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
thank you.
All right, our last thing is Craig Pacina. We're not gonna go into public hearings because they've asked for another continuance for 21 Malcolm Hoyt. Was talking with Julie earlier, and we only have one item on the next agenda. And it is not at all clear whether they're gonna even be ready for the next meeting because they have all sorts of stuff to go through with the planning board and other things. So I would think it might be better for us to continue this to March 7th. If that's okay with people.
Does that mean there's no meeting on the 21st?
That would mean there would be no meeting on the 21st unless the folks looking for the certificate of compliance absolutely positively have to have it.
so
Yeah.
how do we want to leave it?
I would say we should simply continue it to the March 7th meeting. We don't need to go through it again. They'll have a full month to take care of what they need to take care of.
I would just want to add that it is your prerogative to do that, that because they have continued this so many times without providing any additional information, you don't have to continue it. They've requested to continue again to the next meeting, but you don't have to continue to the next meeting. I'm actually not going to be at the next meeting on the 21st. I'll be away on vacation, and I'd like to be there for this 21 Malcolm Hoyt discussion. So I would also prefer if it is continued one meeting further, if that works for you guys, which would then, as Joe said, just leave this one certificate of compliance request on the agenda for the 21st, which, depending on how that applicant feels about it, you know, you could hold a quick meeting, or they could maybe wait till the following as well.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a good idea. Let's, I'll make a motion to continue this to March 7th.
Second,
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
Dan Warshall,
Yes,
Bill Mullen,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All right.
so when
So,
will we know about whether there's a meeting on the 21st? We're gonna have to wait and see what else comes in, Julia, is that what you're saying?
Well, the deadline for the meeting on the 21st was last Friday. And the only thing that we have received is a request for certificate of compliance for a small project on Louise Street. Actually, not necessarily a small project, a very good project on Louise Street. I'm not sure if they need the certificate of compliance for a purchase and sale, or they have any other deadlines. So I'll reach out to them tomorrow. If they're okay with waiting until March, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll leave them on the agenda for the 21st, and it would just be a brief meeting on that night, because there really isn't, we didn't receive any other application.
Could you repeat the name of the street?
Louise Street,
Okay,
I believe it's 3, I think the address is 3 Louise Street. It's a beautiful little house that they rebuilt, elevated up on pilings. Anyway, it's they're done. The project looks good. You want to take a drive by out there. And the application materials are also, you can find them even now on our website on the new online permitting system. So you can take a look at, you know, what was done. And
thank you.
can I ask a question? That one with the certificate of compliance on Plum Island. What was our jurisdiction? Was it the pilings, the driveway, or the first floor was not 3 foot above the ground, or is it absolutely everything on Plum Island?
well, we have to look at everything. Every time someone applies for a building permit on Plum Island, it gets sent to our office. I take a look at it to make sure that nothing, that it doesn't trigger wetlands protection or our local ordinance. And a lot of things do. Anything that involves, so in this case, not only are they on Plum Island, and technically all of Plum Island's a coastal dune, but in this case, they're actually like right at the edge of, salt marsh. So they're within a 25-foot no disturb zone to that resource area as well. And because they were working, they're essentially working within our resource area. They were removing pilings and installing new pilings. So there were temporary impacts. There weren't no impacts, but those impacts were temporary. So we need to make sure that they weren't having an adverse impact when they were doing the work on the buffer zone, on the vegetation, on the salt marsh, etc. So that is that kind of thing, even though like there was no expansion of footprint. But one of the other things that we also look at, even if there's no expansion of footprint or there's no real impacts, if somebody's just saying, I'm gonna redo all the siding and put on a second floor and redo all my bathrooms and kitchens inside, and you know, that kind of work, we're still gonna look at it to make sure that what they're doing is not considered a substantial improvement, which would be to increase the value of the property of the structure by more than 50% of its existing market value. If it's a substantial improvement, if it triggers that threshold and it's not currently elevated on pilings about 2 feet above ground or above basement elevation, then it has to go up in the air, the whole structure. So
Okay.
that's, yeah.
Julie, can you
Okay.
clarify something on that? Is that for every home on Plum Island, or just those that are in the zone, so to speak?
It's for every home on Plum Island, whether it's in a FEMA A zone, B zone, AO zone, or out of the floodplain. Even then, if it has a solid foundation and it's a substantial improvement, then it has to go up on pilings. There are exceptions for which something can remain on its solid foundation outside of the V and the AO zones. If you're in an AE zone, or if you're outside the floodplain altogether, and you can get a licensed structural engineer to certify that the existing solid foundation doesn't need modifications, then you can keep your existing solid foundation. But within the V zone and AO zone, that does not any longer apply. There's no exception to the rule.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
Oh,
Steve?
one more thing.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Right now, they are being sent to every homeowner on Plum Island, the fence guidelines.
Yay.
Yeah,
Great.
fence guidelines. And one of our Keep Plum Island Beautiful brochures. So mailing is currently taking this.
Very good.
I mean,
So-
I know this isn't exactly in our jurisdiction, but did you get any feedback on the resilience brochure that went out to everybody? Joe, you're on that committee, right?
Yeah, I haven't seen any feedback, but members of the committee like it.
Yeah, I got some feedback just from a friend or two saying, oh my gosh, got this in the mail, saying like, wow, we didn't know, like, oh my gosh, that's kind of crazy information. And we certainly I haven't heard in the office, either from the mayor's office or through the planning office or building or anyone else, any negative feedback. So maybe either people just didn't read it or they read it and they liked it. But normally when you hear feedback, you hear the negative feedback, I would say, and we haven't gotten any that I've heard of. So I would take that as a good sign.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So, Steve, is that your smartphone you're on right now?
Yes,
It is.
yeah.
I didn't even know you had a smartphone, dude.
Oh, I've had it for a while, but I don't advertise it. In fact, I don't even know the phone number, so.
Oh, dude, come on.
Don't tell us now because you're
Really?
Well, the only time I use it usually is when I go hiking, and when I get back to the car, I call home and say, I made it down. The most dangerous part of the trip is now when I'm driving home.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve, I should tell you, Julia and Joe, that I got a email that I don't know if I have to appear or I just have to be present for the city council meeting on Thursday. I guess my name's going up. Steve,
Oh.
are you the other one that's up for
No,
renewal, right?
I'm the second one.
David, oh,
You
sorry.
are too? I can't attend or do anything on Thursday, and I sent some note back to that effect, and I haven't heard anything, so I really don't know.
I don't
Oh,
know if
this
it
is-
matters.
This is for Planning and Development Committee?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Hey,
you'll be fine, David, but I'll be there to speak on your behalf if necessary. And I'll see you there.
Okay. Kind of a late telling us.
notice, yeah.
I received it last night.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
those things happen.
Yeah, from Ed. But do we, Julia, do you know, do we have to do some sort of presentation or they just put our names up for,
You know, I
They
wish I
probably
could
want to
say I
interview
knew.
you.
Maybe.
Yeah, if
What?
they do anything, they're gonna talk to you for a few seconds. Ask you to introduce yourself, and it is not a grilling, let's put it that way.
okay.
Yeah, you all know more than me. They didn't even tell me that this was happening Thursday. I don't get in the loop on.
Well, that's why I wanted to mention it so you knew.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me. I'm going to be there for a different reason anyway, for the hazard mitigation plan. They're looking at that. So I'll see you there.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know what altitudes Bill was driving through when he was calling into here, but Steve, you might have the farthest and the highest attendance record for the commission.
Well, I'm going for every record there is.
Clearly.
Are you still on top of Mount Washington, Steve?
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. What is it, a 1 week thing?
yeah, it's Wednesday to Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday to Wednesday. I was wondering how you got up there on Saturday.
Well, no,
You didn't.
nobody got up here on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, I've been
It's a good
sharing the video. Well, you got a copy of it too, of the camera up there. I'm sure you get to watch that whenever you want to. But yeah, that was impressive to say
Yeah.
the least.
Yeah, I went outside when it was minus 44. And we were trying to pour some boiling water through a colander to see if it would form icicles underneath it. And it all turned to snow before it even got to the colander. So
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
Just vaporized.
Yeah,
You doing
that,
science
that's the-
experiments over there?
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're really serious
Well,
scientists up here.
oh yeah, just think of that, man. Just turns to snow. That's just wrong. Dude, you throw that hot water up in the air and it turns to a vapor. What,
Oh, yeah.
how are
Well,
you gonna get icicles?
oh, we were hoping. Well, a couple years ago, we had a really good squirt gun fight when it
Alright.
was, like 30 below.
Did anybody lose an eye?
No, because it turned to vapor,
Oh,
vaporized before.
winter vapor, oh, okay.
But I
I'd
got a
love
good
to have
picture
seen
of it.
that. Yeah, that would be that would be funny.
Do you say you have a picture of that?
Yeah,
Oh, you need to share the picture. I need to see I need to see that picture.
okay, well,
Why
I,
is this? Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
Making me think that you need to have, that there should be like a reality show that takes place on the top of Mount Washington in the winter.
oh, people wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, sure.
You could substitute that video that you, who was, Joe, you posted that of the wind up
Oh,
in
yeah.
Mount Washington.
Yeah, you get and that was in the Washington Post, I think.
Yeah. Well, the winds weren't that strong, they only gusted to 127 and the sustained was about 95.
Mm-hmm.
So the winds weren't a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Sustained
was just a
95 average.
47 below.
Yeah,
Oh my God. All right, we
Alright,
have
this has
anything
been
else?
fun, but no, how about a motion to adjourn?
second,
All right, roll call. Steve Moore,
yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
Dan Warshall,
Yes.
Bill Mullen,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So
So
guys,
we'll
have a good vacation. Rest
see
of
you
your
in March, I
vacation.
guess, right?
Yep, see you in March.
I'll email you guys to confirm that, but yeah.
Okay, all right,
Probably. All right.
thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Good
All right,
night.
good night.